A diamond painting pen, start to finish. This one's going to have a CA finish. Real time. So far, the only thing we've done is drilled 2 holes in this. Took about 30 seconds. We're going to do this pen start to finish in real time. Here we go. CA finish, I want to get all of this cleaned up. I don't need stuff falling in the CA. Not happy with the symmetry. Need to lose a little bit more right here. About like that. And the dust collector goes off. So far I've dry sanded with 120, then 240. Now I'm going to crank up the speed to about 1600 RPM. Now I'm going to wet sand with the 240. So I have a bowl of water off of camera, off screen. I'm just dipping the sandpaper in a bowl of water. So this is 240. $800. And again, this is wet sanding with water. You gotta be patient. The inclination is to stop and look at it. You want to see where you are and you want to rush it, but experience tells you just be patient, sit tight, keep sanding. You want to get all the scratches out of this. And it's going to take a bit. This truly is the hard part of this job. It's maybe the least skilled, but you got to have the most patience. It's the most tedious, time-consuming, painstaking, but this is the icing on the cake. This is where it's all at. It's all in the polishing. Oh, I just moved to 1500, I believe it is. $1,500 wet. Let me check that. Yes, 1,500. The grits don't matter much. It's just you're progressively stepping up. And I do skip steps. Conventional wisdom says you don't skip steps on your grit. You move up one grit at a time. But I found in practice, if you're a business, you don't want to be buying all that sandpaper and you don't need those multiple steps. And in practice, if you find nice stepping stones, I found that dry sand, you go from 120, 240. Most times I'll use 400 dry. This time I didn't. And then I usually go backtrack and I wet sand 240, 400, 800, 1,500, and then 4,000 to finish. Which is what this is. I'm moving to 4,000. And the 4,000 is more polishing than anything. It's kind of like an emery cloth. It just, you're not going to get scratches out as much as you're bringing out the shine. Okay, let's see what we got. Dry it off with a towel. And now I inspect it real carefully. I want to let it dry for a minute. All the moisture to evaporate, and any scratches will pop out. Now, to an extent, the CA is going to cover minute scratches, but if you see anything with your eye, then it's probably too big. You need to keep sanding. That actually looks good, so we're going to continue on. Brand new towel. I want this dry. I want all the moisture off of this blank. And this is why I cleaned all the dust off of my hood. I don't want anything falling on my blank. I usually CA at around 800 RPM. I found that spins it just fast enough to cover it good, but yet you don't sling CA everywhere. This, for any other turners or pen makers, is a finger caught. You can buy these on Amazon. I use this on my index finger on my left hand because I'm right-handed, and I use this to apply the CA. And you can see how eaten up it is. Get it in the camera. And they're cheap, and you kind of trade them out every, oh, I don't know, 20, 30 pens. I use, see if I can get this in focus and shot. I can't see because I got the camera mounts in my way. Just regular paper towel. We use a paper cutter, and we cut it into little strips as perforated, and we rip them apart. And I'll use this, and what I do is I fold it just like this, and I make a little applicator, and I'll use this side and I'll use that side, and I do 2 coats on non-wood pens, stuff like this with glitter. And what do I CA? I CA stuff that could benefit from a hard shell coating, basically, especially a glitter pen. This, I happen to use Bob Smith Industries. There's a lot of CAs. One's not better than another. Turners have their favorites, and they're all about the same, but you want to use thin. This is super thin, but you use thin CA. Now, this is going to be hard for me to do with the camera. You want to be quick, but you don't want to be sloppy. And what you do, you dump a little CA on your towel, let it soak for a minute, and then just wipe. Now, it's probably dry just as quick as that, but we'll let it spin for a minute. And if you really want, you could use an accelerator and just spritz it. Not really necessary, but you want to make sure this is dry before you do anything else. You want to give it a few seconds, 30 seconds or so. About like that. Now I'm going to take my paper towel, and this is more just to get the spritzer off, the accelerator off, and I'm just feeling for smoothness, wiping it down, sort of even up that first coat of CA a little. Believe it or not, paper towel actually has some abrasive quality. You can polish a little bit. I flipped it around. Now we're going for same drill. Wipe it on, let it sit. I'm gonna go ahead and crank the volume up to about 1500, 1600, somewhere in there. 1600's good. I'm noticing in the viewfinder it's got a strobe effect. Trying to think of what it's called, with like a timing light in the car, but it's strobing. It looks like it's going slower than it is because of the glitter. The naked eye is spinning away, but on camera it looks like it's just barely spinning, which is funny. I'm going to spritz it again. Make sure it's dry. Okay. Now, I do not use the 800 wet. It's too abrasive. I'm going right to the 1500 wet. And I'm not going to dig in. I don't want to take the CA off. What I want to do is smooth it out. The CA's got ripple in it because it was hand applied. You want to smooth it as best you can. And you kind of feel it. It's all in the sensory, touch, that you can just feel what you're doing. You can feel any rough spots. Okay. Now I'm going to the 4000, and I can spend a little more time on this. This is just polishing. This will not really take the CA off. I mean, you'd be here all day trying to eat through CA with this. You could pretty much go to town with the 4000, but you just want to polish it up. Now I'm going to crank the speed up to about 2,000, 2,100, even 2,200. This Alumilite with glitter, you could go as high as 2,200. You don't want to burn. You go so fast you can burn it in. You don't want that. Now, conventional wisdom says never use a rag on a lathe. You always want to use paper towel. The reason for that is if a paper towel gets caught up in this, it's going to rip. And it's not going to suck your hand in. Now, I've got a microfiber cloth. This is a no-no. You really shouldn't use this on a lathe. But I dismiss that because even, and it happens, when it gets caught up in there, it'll suck it in and it'll spin around and you move your hand back. But you don't want to ever tie your hand up or anything stupid. You want to have a loose grip on this. So if you do lose it, get your hand out of there. Somebody once said the biggest safety feature is between your ears. You know, all the safety devices on stuff, but if you think about what you're doing. Anyway, I'm using Meguiar's Plastex. I've been using this for years. Carol likes to use something else from one of our vendors. She'll explain that at some point. I stick with the Meguiar's Plastex. I like this stuff. This, to me, is the magic juice. Let me shake the bottle, get some out. Just apply a little dab of it. And again, loose grip. I've got it in the palm of my hand and my fingers. I don't want to grab hold of this towel. And now very carefully I pinch. And I just work this in. Look at that shine already. You can see it. And I go to town with this stuff. Give it a few minutes. Don't just wipe it on or wipe it off. You use it. You use the abrasive in it. It's like a car wax. Now see that? Again, it's a no-no. It could literally suck itself under that pen, but through experience, I know what I can get away with. And you can tell I've used my cloth. You can see the nice pad of polish I got going right there. The more you use it, the better it is. And there we go. And the last step, I take my dry paper towel, give it a final buff. Make sure I get all the polish off and smooth it out. And there you have it. It'll look a lot better under Caitlin's light when she takes the picture, but look at that shine. That is a CA finish.